Okay, hi. Uh, I'm going to share the teaching. It's called Vipassana. Vipassana is hardest section actually, not easiest one. So before Vipassana, we always practice shamatha meditation. Shamatha is I already talked. Shamatha has two categories, actually two sections, with object, without object. So with object has two categories, visual object and focus with breath. And then last is no using any object. So if you meditate that, practicing, study that, and then easy to go into Vipassana practice. Without shamatha meditation, no possible Vipassana meditate because it's more deeper level. So this Vipassana teaching has two sections: intellectual meditation, resting mind meditation. First is going to teaching this one is intellectual meditation. Intellectual meditation long more for explain long more deeper teaching is come from Mahayana, especially Mayamika teachings. It takes a long time to study that. It's also very hard to understanding without a teacher. Have to study long time. So here in this book, Stage of Meditation, I have part of the intellectual meditation. So here I use that section is very performed and short, only main point. So if you study this book and you have idea like how to meditate, intellectual, meditation. So that's the reason I'm going to share this stage of meditation right now is part of the Vipassana. So this is a more focus for the meditate or to meditate on Vipassana. So using this book, I'm going to share with you. Here is the second part of this teaching is in explanation of Vipassana. So the second part meaning is, first part is the shamatha meditation. So the second part is called Vipassana. Then Vipassana Tibetan is called Lam Thong. Lam Thong means actually seeing beyond. The meaning is looking deeply, very deeply, suchness nature. It's the hard to understand. So that's the reason here says in Buddhism it is taught that we need to learn from a knowledge master. So this teaching is have to study and also cultivate and have to learn from the knowledge teachers. And this point to the importance of seeking teachings. The reason is like we have to learn, study, and because we have to seeking teachings. It's through listening to many teachings and reflecting on their meaning that we derive the pure view we will be integrating in our Vipassana meditation. So it is the light of sufficient knowledge of the teachings that presents in impediment to Vipassana. It's without study and without knowledge that is the obstacle for Vipassana meditation. Because without knowledge, you not possible to understanding deeper level. And always the teachings come from first study, then contemplate, then meditate. That's the reason Buddha shared 84,000 Dharma teachings. It's all have to listening first, and then we have to contemplate it, then go into the meditate. So that's the reason this one we have to study and listening. So You have that, knowledge, then you can see this, the seeing, like kind of this meditation, Vipassana is called seeing beyond, means you really understand, and you can see that the through the study and investigate intellectually. So that's reason here. First, we have to go to deeper level and investigate. This meditation, there are two aspects to Vipassana. So analytical or discursive meditation, the first, and non-conceptual meditation or rest in the mind. This Vipassana is whole thing is followed by two sections. So now I'm going to share the first section. First is analytical or discursive meditation. So then analytical discursive meditation also has two categories. So discursive meditation has two subcategories too. Meditating on the selflessness of a person and meditating on the selflessness of phenomena. So we have to meditate these two first. These two meditation is called intellectual meditation, not resting meditation. So we have to use intellectual investigate, knowledge, logically have to understanding. The reason is usually we think self is permanent, and then we fixation to the self, and also we are think is phenomena is exist, permanently exist. So that is all is a kind of a wrong idea and wrong view, wrong thoughts. Without this study and intellectually no study, you don't have enough knowledge, then you don't understanding what means selflessness of a person, what means selflessness of phenomena. If you don't know these two, then we are always stuck within samsara, because the reason is you are attached to self, always your thing self is permanent, and also you don't recognize all phenomena is reality. Is you always think phenomena is exist permanent. So that's the reason we have to using logic and investigate study these two sections. Here is the first section. We have to know what means selflessness of person have meditating. So first, when you're going to meditate that, you have to recognize what means self. So usually we think self is exist. What means self? Self is table or chair or this body. We have to investigate. The self means like the person usually. What is called person is just this continuum of our aggregates, including our mind. So 5 aggregates, including our mind, or rather this is seen over then long as you have 5 aggregates, you have a mind always thinking about something. I wanted to go, I wanted to eat, I wanted to talk, this kind of thinking. So that is called the person. That person is like always like, is thinking something, is feeling and emoting. This movement of mind. So all this kind of perspective is called person. So that person is like usually we think is permanently exist. But selflessness of a personal meditation recognize that is not permanently exist. Recognize it is emptiness. So now what happening, our problem is fixating and clinging to the person as being a permanent, singular entity, as being me or I. So always we think me and I is always we think permanent, singular, one entity. So I is always we think is only one. We never think is I is two. Long as you have that, then your fixation to self-grasping arise. So that's the reason what is known as the self of the person or subjective mind. From the construction of a self come the emotional poisons. Long as you have I and my and like kind of we thinking about a permanent singular like that, then you have attached or thinking about like kind of and thinking about like permanent entity, recognize. You think that, and then emotion comes, because long as you have I, and then self arise, self bring the emotions. The reason is like attached to our side, hatred to others, then you create karma. So then from karma comes suffering, continually going to again, reborn again in samsara. Who is reborn again samsara? Because self. Self is permanently exist? Actually not, but we don't recognize that. We think self is always exist, permanent entity. So that's actually wrong idea. That's the reason we have to study and investigate. Therefore, the root of our suffering and all negativity is the self, or the subjective mind. In other words, it comes down to an error known as a mental state. The self is that we call the body, the constitutional elements, and the sense fields. But the person is not the essence of the aggregates and the like. So usually we think person is this body and five aggregates. Actually, look really closely and investigate. The person is not the essence of the aggregates and the like. Five aggregates cannot be the person. This body cannot be the person. The reason is this is because the aggregates and the constitutional elements are impermanent and are combination of many parts. See, this body and the five elements, five aggregates are not permanent. It is impermanent. Usually you're thinking about self is permanent. See, permanent, impermanent cannot be one. So where is the self? Usually we think self is permanent, entity, one permanent entity. So singular entity exists. We think that, but then where is the self? Think about, oh, my body is self, my five aggregates is self. But then you look closely, investigate, your self cannot be your body, self cannot be five elements, five aggregates. The reason is self is a permanent entity. Your body is impermanent. Then self is only one. Five aggregates is five. One cannot be five. So that's the reason your body, your five aggregates cannot be self. Because five aggregates body is impermanent. Also compound of phenomena. This compound of phenomena means impermanent, not really inherently exist. So I and self we think is permanent. That's the reason your body, five aggregates cannot be self. So now then the person is seeing as permanent. See, persons we always think permanent, and as a singular entity. Concept which we input onto something else. However, this person cannot really be said to exist as what we think it to be or as anything else. See, then you think about your bodies cannot be self, your five aggregates cannot be self, then yourself is really not exist. Where is the self? You cannot find any place located self is permanently, inherently exist. So that meaning is self is not exist, is impermanent, selflessness of a person. Self is not exist. This is because the person is not any other thing or entity. It is therefore like this, the uncautioned assumption of me and mine is nothing but a delusion. See, I, myself is not any permanent exist. It is delusion. It is emptiness. So you realize that it's called selflessness of a person. Meditate. So you have realized that, you get realization, then you can liberate from samsara. The reason is why we are stuck in samsara, because we always think self, I, my is permanent, exist. And then we are attached to I and self, hatred to others, and then we create karma. Then karma takes rebirth again and again. So now you see self, I is not exist. Then others also not exist. So self is I is not exist, other is not exist. Then you not attached to yourself, not hatred to other beings. Then you not create karma. Then you realize selflessness of a person. So that meditation is usually, ahats, Pakika Buddha says that's level of realization. They realize the selflessness of a person, then they're not attached to their own anything. So then they get realization. Is somebody cut your hands and the body, they are not suffering, because same as the trees branches cutting, same thing, nothing difference. Is all this suffering is where this come from, is self-grasping. Without no self-grasping, suffering is end. So if you are strongly attached to something, then they lose that, change that, you are suffering. You are not grasping to that object, you lose that object is changed, you're not suffering. Same is like my hair, I don't grasping to my hair, I can cut my hair and can throw in the garbage easily. But some people strongly grasping to their hair, even their hair is change the colors and lose the hairs, they are so much suffering, because his mind is so fixation to that. So your mind is strongly attached, fixation, grasping to the object, then that object is bring to suffering. Same as yesterday I shared with you, one guy, he didn't lose his son, but he think he lose his son because he's so strong grasping to his son, fixation grasping to his son. So his son is actually his not his body, but that his son can give him suffering, pain, suffering. The reason is his fixation, grasping to his son. So if you no grasping, no fixation to even your body is loose or change or whatever comes, you're not suffering. So then we recognize that, you have example, you have two cars. One car is new, one car is old. So new one, you more grasping, more fixation to that. And something small crash, you are so much suffering. Older one is like hit to some things, maybe you laughing, you not much suffering because it's less grasping, less desires, you know. Why that happening, the reason, because other new car you more attached to grasping. The older one maybe you don't have that much strong grasping. Actually car is both a car same. Then also parents has like some parents has like couple kids. The parents sometimes like maybe some kids that really like, some kids that doesn't like, you know. That doesn't like kids happening something problems, parents not suffering. That so strongly fixation attached that really like someone that even sick or little bit problems they are suffering with them together. So that is like all its problem is fixation and grasping. So that's the reason what no is what this giving idea is. We have to meditate and look to ourselves. Where is the self? I is. So you crawl to your feet, search. You really cannot find self is exist. It's a delusion. Self is not permanent exist any place located. So we have to recognize that. We should investigate in this way. So also here saying more informations. In the same way, we should try to understand concepts and emotions, which are the expressions of the inner subject of mind. Look directly at the concepts or emotion itself. Try to see if it has a form or a shape. So we have to think about, you know, where is this emotion or this concepts, thoughts, where this come from. That has a like kind of shape or you know, like emotion itself has like we have to look directly into the concept or emotion itself. Try to see if it has a form or shape. The emotion is arise from the actually our self-grasping, but emotion also not exist. You try to look the emotion directly. Emotion, no any form or shapes exist. This is just our kind of a ear, you know, like breath. You breathe is naturally go away, right? Emotions. So that's kind of where we have to look more deeply and carefully look to see where the emotion come from. So the emotion actually come from I and the self, but self is not exist. The emotion also actually not exist. Where it can be located and where it is goes. Thoughts comes, emotion comes. Where is it come from? Where is it located? Where it goes? You really cannot find anything. Just same is like sometimes in the sky has so many clouds. Then one day it's gone. So you don't know where this come from, where they goes, where they located. It's just all gone. Same like that, you know, it's our thoughts, emotions. You analyze where it's come from, where it's located, where it goes, cannot find any located. The meaning is like emptiness. First, in this present awareness, you have a mind, and suddenly out of this mind, a thought or emotion arise. Try to see the following. So we look to our mind, try to get come, you know, try to like or emotion come out, or try to thoughts arise. So then look that where it come from, where it goes, where it's located. Try to see the following. Did it come from mind or something outside of the mind? So then these thoughts, emotions come from your mind or come from somewhere outside. You cannot really point source, because thoughts is not come from mind. Without a mind, also no thought. So that's the same thing. Emotions also not really come from mind. Mind also without mind, not emotions too. So you have to investigate. it is one with the mind or it is separate from the mind. So now you think about your thoughts, emotions is your mind or separate of your mind. Some people say, oh, my thoughts, emotions, my mind. Some people say separate. Cannot be your thoughts, emotions, your mind cannot be separate. The reason is thoughts, emotion, they are not exist. So not any permanent source. Everything is just interdependent. You really look, investigate where it come from. Not any permanent source come from. Not only emotion and thoughts. Even like one flower, where is this flower come from? Sun, or water, or warm weather, or seeds, or many things look that way. You really cannot find one permanent source. All this comes together conditions, flower arise. So then emotion also many conditions comes together, emotion arise. But you investigate where this come from, look, you cannot find any place like permanently source. So that meaning is actually emptiness, interdependent. If you find something source, then your emotion, your thoughts is permanent. But nothing is permanent. Everything is impermanent. Nothing is independent. Everything is interdependent. So that's the reason you investigate thoughts, emotions is same as mind or separate. You cannot say yes and no. Either answer is incorrect. If you concluding that thoughts or emotions are mind as sunbeams are to the sun, it is a flashy because the sun and its rays shines simultaneously. Sun and this sun rays is same or separate. Some people say same. Cannot be same because the sun rays and the sun is simultaneously separate. Means like same time you can see two things, it cannot be same. So then you say different. Without the sun, this sun beams not possible. Also you cannot say separate too. So same thing, like our emotion and the thoughts also cannot be same as mind, cannot be separate mind. The reason is the emotion, thoughts, mind, they all is not permanently exist. It's impermanent. It is flesh because the sun and its rays shine simultaneously. If you conclude that mind and thoughts, mind and emotions are one, how are they one? So you have to think about how they are one. It is that mind appears as thought. Is that how they are one? Or is it that thoughts are merged with mind? If you conclude that mind and thoughts are not one, try to investigate, try to examine how they are different and so forth. So you investigate the thoughts, emotions cannot be is mind, cannot be separate. The reason is thoughts, emotions not exist permanently. Same thing, waves and beach, ocean and waves are same or different. It cannot be same, cannot be different. The reason is without ocean, no waves. But simultaneously you can see waves and ocean is separate. So you seeing simultaneously separate, that means cannot be same. Then cannot be different because without ocean, no waves. So like that, mind and thoughts are same thing. Now try to see where the forms that appear to you come from. So now we also try to see where is this form, objects come from. Do they come from the mind? if they come from the mind. If they come from the mind, then it would follow that forms should always follow you wherever you go. If this house is your come from your mind, wherever you go, this house is follow you. That means this phenomena object is not come from your mind. Some people say, oh, this everything is come from our mind projecting this object. If this object is come from your mind, then wherever you go, these objects follow you. You cannot see any new things because you always seeing same thing again. This have to follow with you. That is thus a fallacy. On the other hand, if they do not come from mind, forms should also continue to appear and be perceived by your corpse even after you die. Okay, if these forms is not come from your mind, then corpse, dead body, also have to see these forms. The dead body means you have a whole body there, but not only no mind. So that's the reason these forms you cannot see, right? If your mind is not anything important, without the mind, still you can see this object, then dead body also have to see this object. So that meaning is you cannot say this object is come from mind. You cannot say not from the mind. Either answer yes, no, both answer is incorrect. There's no answer because no exist. If this object is exist, you have yes or no. Then not exist, how can you give answer? In the dream, you never born, your son never die. If there is a born, they have died, right? Never born, then how can die? Same thing, this whole thing what we think exists. Our perception, thoughts, we think it exists, things. Actually, reality, never exist, never born, never exist. That's the reason you cannot give yes or no both answer. So everything is unbeginningless, no exist. So we have to know that. Examine in this way and apply a similar existential analyze essential I think existential analysis to sound, smell, taste, touch, and the rest. So not only we analyze like form things, the seeing things forms, right? Then you can analyze same thing. These songs, whatever we heard the songs, is your mind or separate? So if it's whatever you hear is your mind, then you always hear same song wherever you go. If that is not your mind, then also dead body, corpse also have to can hear the songs because it's not your mind. See, that logic is then you have to use to smell, taste, touch, and the rest, other everything. So you cannot anything this seeing object or external things not exist. Next, do not look at thoughts, emotions, or any of the experience of the sixth sense objects. Instead, just look directly and nakedly at the very essence of mind itself. Is there a vividness, a presence? There is emptiness? It is more of a clarity or more of or in emptiness. So you have to more investigate. More investigate is like we're talking about sixth sense, right? Sixth sense object. The sixth sense object also same thing. Is sixth sense object is your mind or separate? You cannot have any answer. And then also, this sixth object also no exist. Some people think, oh, sixth object is no exist, but your mind is exist. They say my mind is exist. Your mind also not exist. Because object is not exist, then no cannot be have a subject there too. Subject and the object is related to each other. You say right, left. No right, you cannot have a left. We say other side. The reason is because we have this our side, right? So then we point other side. We don't have other side, we cannot say our side too. So without father cannot have son, Without son cannot have father. Same thing, without object cannot have a subject. So mind also not exist. So here is just look directly and nakedly at the very essence of mind itself. Nakedly means no any thoughts into awareness. Our awareness have to log into our mind itself. Then you log to your mind. Mind is vividness, presence. There is emptiness. Is it more of a clarity or more of emptiness, which seems to be more predominant? So empty is more strong, or clarity is more strong, or vividness is more strong. So which is mine is strongest, predominant? Actually, the anything is like nothing really inherently permanently predominant there, because your mind is empty. So here is this information is actually giving you mind. Usually talk about our mind. Mind is not permanent, not exist. So that's the reason is mind is empty. Emptiness. But emptiness is not nothingness. It's clarity. It's vividness. It's present. So that is called mind, our mind nature. But use logic, investigate. You cannot find any permanently, inherently exist things. So that's the reason the scientists also say mind is not exist. Because you use logic, investigate, you cannot find your mind. So already Buddhist philosophy, Buddha already decided that 2,500 years ago, mind is not exist. If you use logic, investigate, you cannot find the mind. The reason is mind nature is emptiness. But mind nature is not same as other object. Mind is not nothingness. It's always clear, present there. So that's you investigating intellectually cannot recognize. Only through the meditation and you yourself own experience, you're recognizing, So my nature is, which seems to be more predominant, or it is in inseparability of clarity and emptiness. It is important to really prove, really examine in this way. By investigating and examining in this way, the great meditator can eventually reach the point where he or she will not get trapped in the web of doubt or skepticism, and will make great strides in his or her practice. This is the reason why we should examine in this way. So this section, more investigating our five aggregates, our body, then also our mind. So you investigating this our usually thinking about a self person is calling your mind and five aggregates together. You investigate that, you cannot find self is permanent exist. Self is impermanent. Self is emptiness. So you realize that, then you can get to meditate, and one day you reach the realization. It's called selflessness of personal realization. That time, then you no longer attached to yourself, no self-grasping to yourself. Then that time you are free from samsara and suffering. So that is called selflessness of personal meditation. It's a very important section. It's hard to understand because all you have to use logic, investigate, and then meditate and comes realize, So that's the reason that section is the hardest section too. So that's the one part of the Vipassana meditation. Thank you.